Hi, everybody. This is, I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga, and you are here for one-on-one yoga live with our special guest today, Sybil Shelton-Ford. Say hi, Sybil.
Hello.
So one-on-one live is kind of a yoga sit-down talk show, a little bit of movement to share different practices and different perspectives of yoga. And today is our guest Sybil is actually a friend and a teacher of mine. Sybil gave me my training in kids and teen yoga and special needs yoga. Oh, I don't know how long ago now. Start really dating myself. And Sybil's also just an amazing teacher all around. She teaches in different realms. So welcome, Sybil. Would you mind kind of sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do?
That's a big question. Anyway, I'm Sybil. And professionally, I had a student. I teach many things. And one of the things that I do teach is kindergarten. And for a Christmas gift, we don't say Christmas, holiday gift, she gave me this cup which says, "Look, teacher of all things."
Oh, yes.
And this is a cup that I don't let anyone else use in my house, which is true. So I've always taught on and off. Right now, so let's talk about all the things that I teach. I'm still a teacher with a district in town, and I teach young children. I teach kindergarten and preschool, but right now the focus during the pandemic is kindergarten and distance learning. But I also teach children in China. So every morning I get up at around 5 o'clock. And I'm in my classroom, so you'll see my maps. This is my office classroom, and I get up and I get to teach some really awesome kids in China. So some are in Beijing, some in Shanghai, some in other little places, and they range from age to about 5. I think my oldest is 12.
Wow.
So I am an ESL teacher. So I teach. My big thing is to get them to converse in English. So I do that somewhere between 6 and 7 days a week. And usually, when the weeks are going well, I also hold classes, community classes. So I teach yoga classes, one that I just call Gentle Flow, one's an intermediate flow, and I also teach a bar style class. So I teach a lot of things. It just, it's just, I always say that some people think that teachers are made, and some teachers are made, and some teachers are just called. They just are.
Yeah.
And I believe that I'm just one of the people that's called.
Yeah.
If I had to pick something to do, I would pick something that made a whole lot more money. But this is something that I was called to do, and so as part of my living dharma, I feel to fulfill that. So, and I enjoy it, but I don't like it. I do. I actually, it's part of an extension of who I am. So.
I'm a little jealous. I would like a copy of that mug of my own. I think that's amazing. What a wonderful gift.
It was. I was like, yes, this would be right.
Yeah. So, if you don't mind, could you share with us all of the different kinds of disciplines of yoga that you're trained in or like to teach? I mean, I know we are on a time limit,
so we can talk about that. So, my very first actual training was in something called Yoga Fit. I don't even know if they're around anymore.
Yeah.
But I did like 2 or 3 weekends and just realized that wasn't enough. I mean, I just felt like it really just barely skimmed the surface. And so I did a year-long study with the Temple of Kriya Yoga, which is located in Chicago. And that was like it was like 14 months. It was a big study. And that's where I kind of got my bachelor's degree in yoga. So then I went on to study with Sonia Sumar, who developed yoga for the special child. I've studied something called integrated movement therapy, which is child yoga based, but it has to do with using yoga to stimulate different parts of the brain. And so it really is special. It tends more towards special needs. So I studied, her name was Molly Kenny, who developed that, and that was awesome. I've I did my master's degree, I call it, in yoga, is in yoga therapy. So I did that through integrative yoga therapy. Joseph Lepage and his wife Lillian developed that. That was a long, intense, insane study. I'll just say.
Is that in California?
One of them is in California. So they live in Brazil. Somewhere in Brazil is where they live.
I remember you telling me a story about
one where I went to Watsonville, California, and it was an ashram, like it's in the mountains of Watsonville. And I remember thinking, it was a 2-week intense thing. I remember thinking to myself, I'm never coming down from this mountain. And if I do come down, I'll never be the same. I will never remember the faces of my children. I just thought it was like, it just sort of ripped you apart, and it was your job to put yourself back together again. And I can say it took probably 3 months before I felt kind of like I had to reassemble myself. So I was never really the same afterwards. I think that was the point, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad way. It's just, it was a lot. I would never teach. I mean, when I teach yoga, it's not like that. It's not this soul ripping experience. I don't think it is. No one's ever told me that.
Okay, I have to confess now. No.
That was the most intense experience, yoga experience that I've ever had. I studied with I studied Ashtanga with David Swenson. That was intense, more physically than anything else. I've studied a lot of different. I was a yoga study junkie for forever. It's been a while since I've taken a training. I probably should, just for fun, but.
Right. I knew that you had a huge breadth and expansive resume, so to speak, and I can feel it come through, when I have a yoga experience with you, because you draw from so much, and then your own lived experience with yoga. So what is yoga to you personally?
Oh my God.
Boom.
I wasn't even ready for that one. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of, I would say, it's sort of how you live your life. And so it really calls on that mindfulness. It's, I think the first sutra in the Yoga Sutra, or the second one, the first one just says, now this is yoga. The next one is, it's that control of the mind. It's, can you get past your own mind crap? Can you do that?
Right.
And so at the end of the day, what is it that I have to do to get past my own mind stuff?
Yeah.
So, and it's like a recipe of stuff. It's not like, oh, I'll just do this and that'll take care of it. I'll do this and that should be fine. It's like putting something into a big, the only picture that's in my mind now is a big cauldron, and just kind of putting your stuff in there, and maybe a pinch of asana, and maybe some meditation, and maybe being outside in nature, and maybe turning the television off, and maybe, screaming at your lungs or whatever it is for that particular day. to get you out to try to get back to that space, what that sattvic space, that space, not too hot, not too cold, not too this, not, but just like right in the middle. So there's always this dance, and it changes. I mean, it changes sometimes, every day it might change. I mean, definitely for me, I can feel it change with the seasons. It changes all the time. It changes as you get older. It changes, it just changes all the time, but it always goes back to, what is it that I have to do, or what can I do to get back to that space in the mind?
Wow. Thank you. Oh, see, y'all knew I was going to have somebody really cool here, really breaking down what that yoga is, and how we can all live it in different ways and make it fit ourselves, right? And get beyond, one of the things I really love that Sybil brought up first is like, in that cauldron, maybe we got a pinch of some asana. And unfortunately, asana has mushroomed into being, the all-encompassing thing. And I like to say, we grabbed a twig off of a tree and we say that the twig is the tree. And it's like, no, that's a twig. It's cute. And it's beautiful and it's flexible. If you pull a twig off of a willow, it's probably bendy. You can do a lot with it, but you keep it attached to that tree. What's possible in learning what rootedness is, and what's fluidity, and what's growth, and what's expansion. So yeah. So I like how you brought us into the second sutra, and trying to navigate that busy mind. We've all certainly had a it's kind of interesting. We've had an amplification as well as a muting of some of the busyness in our mind with this pandemic stay at home, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's all of this fret space about what if and what's gonna be. And then, certainly for some, dealing with added pressure of actual family members or themselves being ill or having lost someone. So some serious hard shift changes really quickly. And then to a certain degree, I've been taking issue with people calling this isolation time. And I'm like, oh, but what about quietude? That's a better word. How about solitude? That would be a nice way to kind of transform how we're looking at it, because isolation, quarantine, those are not words that make me feel as though I have a space for growth within myself. Right? It's really limiting. So with all of this, have you felt like your yoga muscles have had to flex in different ways for yourself to find that sattva? And for our viewers, sattva is a balanced equilibrium space. So how has this taxed the branches of your tree?
I would say, how can I put this? So I'm going to say it's taxed it. The situation has kind of brought up different things. It's one of the things that, and I was just talking to my husband about things that I think what this has done is sort of revealed some truths about, I think it's true for everybody, that maybe you were just trying to put in the back burner, that maybe you didn't have to look at because you had that busyness of going to work, of dropping your kids off at daycare and not seeing them for 7 hours, or, of getting to be busy. I get to go to yoga class and spin class and bar class and this, or I get to go visit, or I get to go to the bar. All those things now taken away, or shouldn't say taken away, that are on hiatus. So now you have to kind of look at really what's in front of you. And so, that kind of like, whoa, movement. I mean, I take all of the other craziness away, because to me, that's a whole different topic. But that kind of sitting with what is,
right,
realization of what is, I think has been pretty mind-blowing for myself, but also for other people. As I kind of scroll through Facebook, which I spend way more time just scrolling on Facebook than I ever normally do, because I just don't. people are sending out memes thanking teachers. Oh, thank you. Whatever you want, we'll give you this. You want chocolate? Because what they're saying is, oh my God, you put up with our kids all day. How do you do this? I had one parent that said, I had a meeting with one of my students, just kind of some FaceTime, because we're going to start that whole distant plan next week. And she said, I can't be teacher and mommy. She said, I don't know how to do, I can't do both. Not like that. And so some of that realization of what is, and so how do we sit with what is in grace? You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that I think have come up even about my relationships with people that I'm currently living with. Where you go where I didn't have to look at certain things or deal with certain things because I wasn't home. I was out. So then when you sit with it, you go, whoa, but trying to switch that brain and not in judgment of, but in observation. And then how do I sit with what is and then try to find the beauty in that? And then what is my responsibility in it? Not that I have to fix everything, but where is my sort of responsibility where I can balance with my happy place with that? And then am I okay with admitting what I'll call a shortfall or things that, a weakness or something, things that I wouldn't necessarily want to have to admit. And then how do I sit with that? So, take away the fear of actually catching the thing, the fear of finding toilet paper, the fear of, oh my gosh, if I go into Meijer, can I touch something? Do I have it? Because I tried to avoid Meijer at all costs. No offense, Meijer. I love you people. I just don't want to go in. But, and that's a whole different stress. So I think that this whole thing is brought up so many different things on so many levels that we're just trying to think, well, for me, I'm trying to sit with that instead of getting mad and protesting. You can protest, is not going anywhere. You can be mad all you want. Be mad at it, they'll just run away. That doesn't work that way.
It sounds like your self-awareness is, kind of where you're living in that space and being able to notice, look where I went here. Look at where I'm reacting here. And I forget this isn't a suture quiz, but there is that ultimately,
the suture for that. This is everything.
But that the path of yoga is practice and detach. And then practice and detach. And I think sometimes I can get sucked even into my reactive space and not realize, I need to detach from my perception of this, detach from my heightened reaction to it, and just go, oh, look, that's anxiety over here. That it's not inside of me. And I certainly work on ways of trying to help students observe as well as sit with. And, sitting with the uncomfortable feelings, that's nobody's fun. It's not like saying, I'm going to wake up today and hey, let me sit in a big old pot of fear. Ooh, yay. Nobody really wants to do that. But if I do get familiar with it, I'm less reactive about it. And I just kind of go, here comes my friend fear. It's a part of me. And I'm not going to demonize my fear. And I'm not going to lock my fear up into a box because that doesn't do any good. It tends to grow a little bit bigger. But helping people navigate, because that reactivity tends to be, it feels like the space where most people get caught into that cycle and don't know how to get out. And then they feel like they're being attacked by every emotion that's coming at us. So today, I would love to see like how Sybil wants to move and share moving whatever issues we're feeling in our tissues. I really appreciate how you teach. I feel as though I try to aspire toward being as inclusive, making things as accessible. I love systems, just like one that you mentioned, Ashtanga. But I also know how some systems can also beat up the body and not be an entry port for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And it can kind of put up a sign that says, "Oh, well, I guess I can't do yoga." So what do you want to do today?
I just want to back up to when you said something about an entry point. So yesterday, which one of my guilty pleasures is kind of surfing YouTube, which I surf often. And just this thing happened to pop up. You can watch this beautiful woman, strong and just gorgeous woman, do the third series of Ashtanga Yoga. So me, I know I'm not in the third series, but I want to watch. It was like watching poetry in motion. This woman was fabulous. I didn't watch the whole hour and 30 minutes of yoga, but I thought to myself how easy it is to watch things like that and then covet someone else's practice. You know what I mean? You look at it and you go, oh, and then you go, I don't know if my body will do it. And not today, maybe in 10 years, maybe not ever. It may not be, the best space. But how easy it is to covet someone else's practice. And so I think sometimes that's one of the things, like whenever I go to teach a class, I always think about, you kind of look there. And I always teach to the least flexible person, and the person that knows nothing. Not that I don't care about the rest, but I'm not teaching to them because they'll figure it out. If they've been with me, and you go, vinyasa, I'm not talking to you. I can see that you're safe, but I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person that is timid, is stiff, can't sit on the floor very long. And so one of the things that's challenging, I think, about teaching online is you don't have that point of reference. You don't have that, because now we're teaching to a screen. And, and I don't know who's watching. So in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, who is my who? Who is that person in my mind that is the stiffest person? Who is that person that's probably the most timid? That person that hides way in the corner in the dark where the light can't touch them. I teach at night and I have lamps on. So I think, in that spirit, I'm gonna teach from a chair because it's probably the least threatening. It's accessible to most people. So
I'm gonna go grab a chair.
Okay, go grab your chair.
And I'm back.
All right, there you go. Perfect. All right, so let's just say everybody out there is probably sitting. So just wherever you are, if you feel good, go ahead and sit toward the edge. So not unless you're just really sore and you need to sit all the way back, go ahead. But if you don't mind, go ahead and sit toward the front edge. And I know you can't really see me, but Belinda, you can see that she's got a gorgeous view. So go ahead and put your feet flat on the floor. And the feet can be hips width, maybe wider, whatever makes you feel good, whatever sustainable. Shoes on, shoes off, your choice. And from there, kind of feel where your sitting bones rest on the chair. So you might want to rock back and forth a little bit to kind of feel where they are. Kind of the places that support you when you sit. And then from there, think about growing upward. So imagine that now the sitting bones are pulling downward, the feet stable. And then think about that bowl or bucket of the pelvis. You can put your hand there. And you want to kind of find, I'm sort of rocking back and forth here. I want to try to find that space where it's not too far tilted forward or back. I feel supported, kind of fluid there. And then space right below the navel. Think about just gently moving that up and in to support the spine. Let your shoulders move up to the ears and around, down, and back, and hold the shoulders slightly back and slightly down. Now, for many of us, that means that the front ribs pop forward, and you might feel a little crunch in the upper back. So just soften the front ribs down. Think about drawing them into the body and slightly down. It's not a hard movement. It's just supportive. And then shoulder blades slide down. Let the neck float, or head float on top of the neck. You want the chin, if you can, to be parallel to the floor. Let the eyes close. If you feel safe, go ahead and close your eyes. And just take some deep breaths. And when we close our eyes, we really do that to go inside, to kind of take whatever is happening on the outside away, or not take it away, but just sort of set it to the side. And just notice how the breath is flowing in and out of the body. You know, maybe it flows a little bit more to the right, more to the left. Maybe it flows a little bit more easily in the belly. Maybe maybe you feel it more in the chest. It's okay. Don't try to change it yet. Just notice. Maybe think about unhinging the back of the jaw. And soften around the eye sockets. If you can, keep the breath in and out of the nose. Maybe as you breathe in, you start to feel this sense of the ribs expanding, front, back, and side. See if you can feel that. And then when you breathe out, there's that softening like an accordion, everything moving to the center. Again, keep the jaw nice and loose. The root of the tongue, again, nice and loose. Now, if you feel really good here, we're going to just add another layer to the breath. You can see by placing your hands on the belly, just start by breathing into your hands. See if you can expand your belly into your hands. And then send that breath up to the rib cage. Let the rib cage expand. And as you exhale, feel the rib cage come in and the navel to the spine. And a couple more times. So breathing in, belly and ribs expand. Maybe shallow, that's okay. And then exhale from the ribs and then navel to the spine. Couple more times. And expand. Ribs and belly. Now see if you can't keep that breath flowing, and we'll start to move the head a little bit. So go ahead and drop your chin to the notch of your throat and just kind of sense the back of your shoulders. Keep the shoulders down if you can. And then with your chin, trace the shape of the collarbone. So maybe the chin traces to your right, and then center, and then to your left. Use the breath. Think about maybe inhaling center, exhale, trace, and then come back center and go the other way. Now, if you want to deepen this, go ahead, exhale, bring the chin to the center of the chest, and then slowly roll the head so that the ear aligns with the right shoulder. And then again, tracing downward. So it's like you're tracing a smile almost.
Right.
And then the ear, left ear aligns with the left shoulder. We'll go back and forth a couple more times. And just notice what you notice. Now, as you're doing this is multitasking at its best. You want to make sure that your spine is long. Your shoulders haven't slouched. There's that contact with the belly, meaning that the navel just gently draws up and in. It's not hard, but it's stable. A couple more times, just that kind of in the neck. That's tends to be where I hold tension. Usually it's the neck, shoulders, and hips where we tend to hold tension. And then nice and easy, come back to the center. Let your head stop there in the center, your chin still down. And then slowly, when you're ready, lift the head. Let it just float on top of the neck. And then let's move. Let's do your right shoulder. It's going to be your right, my left. Go ahead and place your fingertips on the shoulder. And then you're just going to make circles. Well, you decide how big, how fast, how slow. That's completely up to you. Now, if you want to attach your breath to it, you can inhale half the circle, exhale the other half. Now, you may also be able to feel this in your chest, in your upper back. Now, you can keep the fingers right where they are, but if your shoulder is happy, you can release the arm, let the arm be nice and light. So I don't have like a strong arm here. It's more like a flowy, like dancer's arms. My elbow bends a little bit and make bigger circles. You can even let the gaze sort of follow the arm if you want to move the head. Big breaths, maybe one or two more. You might also feel some of that rotation of the spine.
Yeah.
Make this yours. And then slowly come back to center. Both hands rest on the lap someplace. Take some rest and notice the difference right and left sides. Let's go to the other side. So your right fingers, left fingers, the other arm. Fingers on the shoulder. When you're ready, go ahead and shoulder circle. Again, you decide how fast, how slow, how big the circle is, how small. You don't ever have to prescribe to look exactly like your teacher or the person next to you or the person in the magazine.
Right.
You get yours, you make it sustainable. Breathing in one half the circle, exhale the other half. Now stay here with the fingertips on the shoulder. If you want to make it a little bit bigger, let the arm go, your choice. Remember, you can let the gaze follow the arm if that feels good and not keep the head still in a space that feels good for you.
Many of my students know that a part of my regimen that I'm missing is my swim. I usually swim a few miles a week, and so this movement is just reminding me like, oh, I miss my laps. I miss this free movement, as well as the resistance of the water.
Yes, one more time around. And when you're ready, just notice again that difference, right and left sides. I feel right now the need to move my spine, so I'm going to do a little seated cat-cow. Your hands can be on your knees. And when I inhale, I'm just going to draw the chest forward. Exhale, round cat pose. You can even hold on to the knees, a little resistance on the legs, navel in. Inhale, lift, heart comes forward. Exhale. You can even feel your pelvis sort of rocking with this. It doesn't have to stay cemented. Inhale and exhale. Space between the vertebrae. One or two more times. Inhale and exhale. And again, inhale and exhale. Really round. And then slowly find yourself back in that neutral spine with the shoulders rolling back, The navel point strong. Shoulder blades again sliding down. Soften the front ribs. It feels like you're poking too far forward. Soften. Take a couple breaths just to feel the difference. Right and left sides. Feel that there's a change in the quality of the breath. A little side stretch here. So I'm going to actually use my hand. One hand's going to support because I'm in a rocking chair. You're going to reach one arm up. You choose left or right. Lengthen, lengthen. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor and just a little tilt side bend. Now, if it feels good, the nose can point forward. But if you want to go a little bit further, rotate the heart, neck, head, and angle the head toward the arm. So a lot of people think that they have to drop their head back to look at the hand. That brings a lot of stress at the front of my neck and the back. So think about keeping the wrinkles out of the back of the neck. So it's in line with the spine.
What about the legs and the feet?
Feet are on the floor.
How much energy?
Oh, go ahead and press into that supportive arm and lift. What were you asking?
How much pressure to push into the feet?
You can push it to the feet. Just enough to feel supported, really. Okay. Supported. Let's go to the other side.
No feet on the floor, Belinda.
Reaching the arm up and overhead. So feel supported. Navel in, gently move those ribs down and in and side bend. Deep breath. So your choice, nose can point forward. And if you'd like, go ahead and rotate heart, neck, head, look upward. Really, it's the eyes that cast upward, keeping the neck in line. Keep breathing. It's easy to decide to stop breathing. Don't do that.
What do you say when students ask you, what should I be feeling?
Oh, it depends on what's tight. Go ahead and press your feet down and lift. So usually in a side bend, we're seeking to find the length probably from the base of my pelvis all the way up. If my lats are tight, I might even feel it in there. Usually a side bend, you're trying to find that length on the side. Mm-hmm. And some people have to go pretty far. Some people not so far. Some people, ooh, yeah, they got to get in there to be able to feel it. All right. A little seated twist. So I'm going to do the twist with the feet on the floor. I'm going to actually bring my feet a little bit closer together. You can keep them, wherever you feel balanced. So again, try to find that mountain pose from the crown of the head to the pelvis. So we're not standing, we're sitting. We're seated. So take a deep inhalation. And as you exhale, think about rotating from the belly. So think about you're going to rotate to your right. The belly, and then ribs, and then heart. I'm going to place my hand, this is my right hand on the chair. My left hand is going to come around and just rest on the outside of my right leg. Yeah, right leg. I'm teaching backwards, so if it feels good, turn your gaze and look over the right shoulder. But try not to let your left shoulder hike up. Let that relax. Deep breath. So whenever we twist, we usually have, it can be slightly challenging. So see if you can't direct the breath into the ribs. Keep the jaw soft. Eyes are soft as well. And then on the next inhalation, without slouching, try to keep the spine long. Slowly come back to center. Take a couple breaths and feel the right, left sides. Notice if there's a shift in the flow of breath. If there's not, that's okay. Just notice. And then again, we want to get ourselves as tall as possible. So think about lengthening the crown. They don't have to be like ramrod straight, but we want to get length. Shoulders relax, and then start to rotate to the left. So rotate belly, feel that navel point spin, ribs, shoulders, neck, head. Again, use your arms somewhere on the chair or on your legs to help facilitate that, to support it. Don't let your shoulders hike up. And try to continue to find the deepest breath that you can. Keep your eyes soft, jaw soft. And then to release, slowly keeping the spine long, come back to center. And take some breaths.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to do a little bit with the hips. So I'm going to slide a little bit backwards, so I'm pretty toward the edge. And if you need to sit all the way back for back support, that's okay. But we'll start by taking your right knee and hugging it in. So you can hold underneath or on top of the shin. Roll the shoulders back. Flex that foot. If you can, spread the toes. Roll the shoulders back. And kind of feel that connection. You know, feel the head of the femur move into the socket. Take some breaths. If you want to, you can even roll your ankle or point or flex the foot.
Nice.
And I feel a little belly connection as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll do a little seated, some people will say seated pigeon or whatever, that figure four stretch. So if it is too hard for you to get that external rotation, just cross one leg over, almost like a happy cow, but if not, cross at the ankle. And you can support your knee with the hand. And flex the foot, sit nice and tall. So I'm not sure if you can actually see, but I'm actually supporting this knee. This foot is flexed, and I'm rolling my shoulders back, sit tall. Take some breaths. And then you'll make some decisions on what to do next.
Okay.
I've decided to stay here. So we always think about being sustainable, not doing it because I said so. I just provide a direction for you to move. If it doesn't make sense or if it's not sustainable, then ignore me and do something else. All right. So I'm going to take a little bit farther. I'm going to keep my spine as long as I can, so I'm not rounding, but leading with the heart. And I'm just going to come forward a little bit until I feel something right in that side hip. So this foot is still flexed. I'm deeply breathing. Belly is working. Long spine, relaxed shoulders. Deep breath. Supported knee if you need it. Try to release some of that tightness in the hips.
That's like a seated pigeon.
It is like definitely like a seated pigeon. You can do pigeon even if you're not on the floor. One more breath. And then press down into the supporting leg, belly strong, slowly lift. Now, if you're a little tender here, use your hand to support the leg, bring it back to center, squeeze it in. And if you can, extend it forward. Just like give a little bit. You can even move the ankle. And then release.
So, Sybil, before you do the other side, what would you suggest for anyone who may have had like some surgery on this knee? You gave like the kind of curtsy or the eagle. Is there another alternative in case this knee has some issues?
It'll depend, because some people, that especially if they had surgery or a replacement, they have to be careful about rotations, period. So that pose, unless I know more about you, may just be contraindicated. You may skip that one. You may keep it here and just kind of work here, like a little rocking back, but keeping it, I'm at my, not rotating, but kind of keeping that here without the rotation.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the other side. So again, sitting nice and tall, I'm gonna just hug that knee in. By hugging it into the chest. I'm just kind of feeling that connection, that moving the head of the femur back into the hip socket, relax the shoulders. You can move the ankle if you want. Circle the foot. Deep breath. And now we'll start. So we'll either, again, you're just going to cross this way or the external rotation, or if you got big knee problems, you're skipping that all together. So again, you can use your hand to support. I like to keep this foot flexed. And I'm just going to breathe here before I do anything else. Roll shoulders back, sit nice and tall. Just kind of get a sense of what it's like to be in that big external rotation. Because this may be far enough. I may decide I'm not going any further than this on this side. But if your body says, you can take a little bit more, then we'll come forward a little bit. Belly strong, shoulders roll back. And you're just going to keep not rounding, but keep the spine long. Reach with the heart forward. And then when you feel something, or when you reach your end point, pause and breathe. Whew.
Yeah, that piriformis is tight.
Yes.
And actually, for me right now, it's I've over pigeoned a little bit today, so I'm backing off because I'm like feeling it. It's like, are you kidding me? That was the conversation that's going on right here. It's going, are you kidding me?
It's like, I've
already done that, Belinda. You only get a couple of these a day.
All right, hold the belly firm, slowly lift. And then support the leg, bring it back to center. Hug it in. And if it feels good, extend it forward. And release. Go ahead, place feet on the floor. Nice long spine. And just feel the difference, right and left sides, front and back. And notice the difference in the quality of breath. And then see if we can find that 2-part breath again. So now that we've done some movement, see if you can breathe. You can put your hands at the belly if you want. Breathe into the belly. And then let that breath flow to the rib cage, expand. And if you can even add that 3rd part, let it come up in toward the collarbones. And then exhale from the top down. Couple more times. Breathing in belly, ribs, and if you can, heart. And then exhale, heart, ribs, and belly. You might notice that it flows a little bit with more ease. And when the breath flows with ease, it's easier for us to really dig into those other limbs of yoga that we talked about before. So dealing with that mind chatter, going deeper in meditation, and finding those spaces, those sattvic or balanced spaces. And then go ahead and just release control of the breath and just watch. Watch where it flows. And just thank yourself for showing up for yourself today. On your next inhalation, let the eyes open and reach the arms up and overhead. One big stretch. Maybe look up if it feels good and exhale. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I needed to restore a little bit
Yes.
and ground. I think, and maybe you can speak to this. As those who give and hold space for others, it can also be that we're not holding enough space, for our own practice, and so I don't know, how would you recommend balance for all of the teachers, meditation teachers, yoga teachers who are out here? Any tips that you have when you notice that you're giving too much energy away?
So the one thing that, because I do give a lot of energy away, is what I've been doing lately is I've been releasing myself from having to figure out what poses I'm going to practice today. And so there's a channel that I like a lot, and the channel is she's Canadian, and it's called Yoga with Cassandra, and she has I just joined for fun. It's free. She has a 30-day, like 10-minute per yoga, 10 minutes per day. Just yoga 10 minutes per day every morning, and just that you just do that 10. And she leads you through. She's got a beautiful practice, and I like her because she's got really good cueing. Because not everybody, like in video or YouTube, has really good cueing and describes things well. She just does, at least for my taste.
For your taste, yeah.
So what I've sort of allowed to happen is for me not to unroll my mat and then figure out what I want to do. Sometimes, depending on the day, especially right now, it's an added stress. It's like, oh my God, now I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I mean, sometimes I can just be on the mat and it just happens. But sometimes just that thing of I'm going to unroll my mat, I'm going to do the physical parts is just overwhelming for me sometimes. Like I don't want to think about this right now. I don't want to think about it. And so that sort of allowed me to not have to think about it.
Yeah.
There is something beautiful. I don't know how if yoga teachers, especially if you teach yoga, if that is your job or the majority of your job, how many allow themselves to be led in class. And I think that puppies.
That was my chair fell that I had moved out of the way. So sorry, everybody.
Yeah, it's, just to allow yourself to be led by somebody that you like, that you happen to really just like this channel.
Okay.
I think it's just nice. It takes that part away that you don't have to think about it.
Right, right. Well, Sybil, I can't thank you enough for sharing energy and wisdom and practice and breath with us. If people wanted to find you, how do they do that?
Okay, so right now it's hard. They can contact me on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, but on Facebook. But I usually teach through Delta Township Parks and Rec, which is here in the Lansing area. I teach Mondays and Wednesdays. So if you go to deltami.gov in their recreation, you'll be able to find me there.
Okay.
And now that's all my classes. All my public classes are taught through them. That is from now until fall, because I'm moving to Florida in the fall. After that, I don't know where to find me. Maybe on Facebook or YouTube or something. I don't know yet. But right now, you know, as soon as we're allowed to hold classes again, which I don't know, you said you just don't know. It's hard,
Right.
you know, it's hard to know.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
just happen to just really like the relationship I have with Delta. And you don't have to live in Delta Township to take
To
classes.
attend. Okay. All right. So people, you know, write her name down, you know, follow us here on the Facebook or on the YouTube. And there's a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. I appreciate Sybil yet again for sharing. Thank everyone for participating. And I hope that some of this helped serve you well for how you're navigating the pandemic, and then hopefully to maintain your practice when whatever a normalcy returns. Let's not use this just as a life raft and then ditch the light raft afterward and be like, I don't need any peace. So hopefully we still want to keep maintaining and cultivating a relationship with our peace. Yet again, thank you so much, Sybil. Namaste.
Yeah, he stopped. Okay.
We're good.
All right.